Did you know there is a mysterious passage in the Bible where Satan appears disputing the body of Moses? But why would he do that? What is so important about this body that the devil himself would fight so desperately? Today we are diving deep into this enigmatic episode to reveal truths you may have never noticed before, truths that could transform how you perceive the spiritual battle around you. Imagine this. Have you ever felt as if you were caught in a battle you couldn't see? Have you ever wondered why certain things in your life feel so difficult, as if something is trying to stop your progress? This video will show you how this story, hidden within the pages of Scripture, can shed light on issues that may be happening in your daily life and open your eyes to the enemy's hidden plans. By watching this video, you'll understand why Satan is so interested in certain areas of your life, and how this story of Moses can teach you strategies to overcome your own spiritual battles. Curious? Then don't go anywhere, because what you're about to discover today might change the way you view your faith, your struggles, and even the power of God working in your life. Now let me ask you, are you ready to understand what is truly at stake in your spiritual journey? Stay with me until the end, because this revelation might be exactly what you need to overcome the challenges you're facing. 2. Historical and biblical context. To understand this story, we must go back to the final chapter of Moses' life. He died in the land of Moab without entering the Promised Land, and was buried by God himself in a location that remains unknown to this day. Deuteronomy 34:5-6. That alone is extraordinary, God personally burying a human being. However, the book of Jude 1:9 reveals something even more astonishing. There was a supernatural dispute over Moses' body between the archangel Michael and Satan. What would motivate Satan to want the body of a dead man? Moses was one of Israel's greatest leaders, chosen by God to deliver his people from Egypt and lead them through the wilderness. His life was filled with miracles and moments of deep intimacy with God. Naturally, his death and burial hold spiritual significance. The fact that Moses did not enter the Promised Land was a consequence of his disobedience at Meribah, Numbers 20:12. Even so, he remained one of the greatest examples of leadership and faith. God personally burying him demonstrates a special care and highlights the uniqueness of his journey. Furthermore, Moses is referenced multiple times later in the Bible, including in the New Testament during the event of the Transfiguration, Matthew 17:3. His importance is so significant that he is mentioned alongside Elijah, representing the law and the prophets. This reinforces the impact of his life and death. The historical context also shows us that the people of Israel had a tendency toward idolatry. From the golden calf incident, Exodus 32, it's clear that turning leaders or objects into idols was a common weakness. Perhaps this gives us a clue as to why God hid the location of his burial. Another intriguing point is that God's act of burying Moses demonstrates that he protected him in a unique way. This suggests there was something more significant at play, involving divine plans in the spiritual realm. The dispute over Moses' body is not mentioned in other Old Testament books, but Jude brings this celestial battle to light. This makes us reflect on how much happens behind the scenes spiritually, and how we are protected without even realizing it. Satan, as the accuser, Revelation 12:10, always looks for opportunities to attack God's people. In this case, he saw Moses' body as a chance to create chaos and distract the focus of the people of Israel. Michael's role, described in Jude 1:9, is essential. As the leader of the heavenly army, he appears in other parts of the Bible fighting against evil forces, such as in Daniel 10:13 and Revelation 12:7. This highlights that the battle over Moses' body was a serious matter. Moses' uniqueness as a leader and prophet, combined with God's care in hiding him, teaches us a profound lesson. Even in death, God protects his own. What happened with Moses serves as a reminder of God's power and sovereignty over all things, including Satan's attacks. This story shows us that although Satan tries to interfere with God's plans, he can never prevail. Divine sovereignty is absolute, and Michael's presence reinforces that God always raises defenders to fulfill his purposes. Why did Satan want Moses' body? There are several theories based on theological studies and biblical passages that might explain this mystery. Idolatrous worship. Moses was deeply loved by the people of Israel. Satan may have wanted to use his body to incite idolatry, turning it into an object of worship and leading the people away from God. Undermining God's plan. Satan constantly tries to undermine God's plans. By taking possession of Moses' body, he could dishonor this highly respected leader, casting doubt on God's character and his care for his people. Preventing a future purpose. Some scholars suggest that Moses' body might have a special role in eschatology. For example, Moses appears on the Mount of Transfiguration alongside Elijah, raising questions about a possible return in future events. Satan may have sought to disrupt this plan. Challenging God's sovereignty. Disputing Moses' body could have been an attempt by Satan to directly challenge God's authority. He sought to claim something that belonged to God. Creating theological confusion. By taking possession of Moses' body, Satan could introduce false doctrines or beliefs among the people of Israel, causing spiritual chaos. Using Moses as a weapon against his own people. Satan could have attempted to manipulate Moses' body to impersonate him, deceiving the people of Israel and leading them away from God's commandments. Symbolism of redemption. Moses' body might represent a deeper element in the plan of salvation, and Satan sought to interfere with it. A claiming battle. Satan is known for trying to claim what doesn't belong to him. This dispute symbolizes his ongoing attempts to usurp what is sacred. These possibilities help us reflect on the seriousness of the confrontation and the complexity of spiritual battles that involve not only the living, but also events related to death and eternity. God's sovereignty, however, is clearly demonstrated. Despite Satan's malicious intentions, the Lord always protects his own and ensures his plans are fulfilled. This story reminds us of the importance of understanding the spiritual context in which we live. While we may not always see the battles happening behind the scenes, they are real and have profound implications for our faith and daily lives. 4. God's victory. 5:6-30. At the center of this dispute is the Archangel Michael, one of the greatest warriors of the heavenly army. In Jude 1:9, we see that Michael doesn't directly confront Satan. Instead, he declares, "The Lord rebuke you." This shows that Michael fully trusts in God's power to deal with Satan. This passage serves as a powerful reminder that God has the final word in any spiritual battle. Satan may try to fight against God's plan, but he can never succeed. God's sovereignty is undeniable. This story also teaches us that we don't need to fight these battles with our own strength. Just as Michael trusted in God, we too can trust that he is more powerful than any adversary. This story is rich with lessons for our lives today. What can we learn from it? Spiritual warfare is real. Just as Satan tried to dispute Moses' body, he also tries to interfere in our lives. It's essential to be aware and prepared. God cares for everything. Even in details we don't understand, God is in control. He protects what is his and has sovereign plans for our lives. Trust is fundamental. Instead of trying to solve spiritual problems on our own, we must trust in God's power. He is our greatest protection. Strengthen your spiritual life. Read the Bible, pray regularly, and seek fellowship with other Christians. These practices help us stay prepared to recognize and face spiritual battles. Be vigilant. Pay attention to thoughts and influences that might lead you away from God's will. Spiritual battles often begin in our minds and in our daily choices. Trust in the ultimate victory. Just as God intervened to protect Moses, he is also on our side. Remember that the scriptures assure us the victory has already been won through Jesus Christ. Seek spiritual discernment. Ask God for wisdom to understand the situations around you. Spiritual discernment helps us identify and resist the enemy's strategies. Strengthen your faith through Moses' example. Even when facing challenges and mistakes, Moses was an example of faith and leadership. His life inspires us to continue trusting in God, no matter the circumstances. Rely on God's power. Just as Michael trusted in God's authority when confronting Satan, we too must depend on divine power to overcome our struggles. Share this message. Share these truths with others. Just as we've learned from Moses' story, we can help others understand the importance of trusting in God and recognizing the reality of spiritual warfare. Are you paying attention to the spiritual battles around you? How can you trust God more and allow Him to win the fights in your life? Reflect on these questions and apply these lessons in your daily spiritual journey. Now you understand why Satan fought so desperately for Moses' body. This battle was not just about Moses, but about God's sovereignty and His ability to protect His people. In the end, the victory was, is, and always will be God's. If you found this topic interesting, leave a comment. What are your thoughts on this story? Do you believe Satan still tries to distort God's purposes today? Don't forget to like and share this video with someone who needs to hear this powerful message. And stay tuned, because in the next video, we will explore how spiritual battles impact our daily lives and what we can do to protect ourselves. Turn on the notifications bell so you don't miss it.